the woman had found her husband cheating on her, and she got to know that her husband was with another woman for 2 nights at Fairmont Hotel in Jaipur. Obviously, she was very unhappy about this and went to Fairmont Hotel and asked them to give records of the hotel stay as well as the details of the woman who was involved. The hotel flatly refused, saying that they could not divulge details of their guests. The woman came back home. She filed for a divorce under the grounds of mental cruelty as well as adultery. In the family court where the matter was going on, she insisted that the husband should be called upon to produce the evidence to show the adultery, namely the hotel bills, the details of the woman with whom he was staying, and the call records. The husband fought this tooth and nail, saying that this was breaching his right to privacy. The wife, however, contended that this evidence was essential for her in order to prove her case for adultery. The court finally took a mid-path and decided that the husband must file all this evidence but in a sealed cover. The husband was unhappy with this decision and went to the Delhi High Court, asking the Delhi High Court to stay this order of the family court as it was impinging on his right to privacy. Hello viewers, I am Sushila Varma, advocate, and I am bringing to you this rather interesting episode called Sachin Arora versus Manju Arora that has hit the headlines in India recently. The matter was finally decided by the Supreme Court on 2nd July 2026. Now let us understand the finer nuances of this case. For years in Indian family courts, the moment a husband or a wife asks for phone records, hotel logs, or location to prove adultery, the first thing the other side would always do would say, "My fundamental right of privacy protects me and you cannot make a demand for such documents." The right to privacy was used as a shield to protect your dignity, but in matrimonial matters, it seemed like it had become a license to conceal matrimonial offences. In this video, we are breaking down a landmark legal battle called Sachin Arora versus Manju Arora, registered as Civil Appeal number 400 of 2024, that was finally decided by the Supreme Court in July 2026. The matter came from the Delhi High Court, and if you are a legal professional, a law student, or someone navigating matrimonial litigation, you don't need to know that this ruling inside out, because it completely rewrites the boundaries of gathering electronic evidence. So let's dive in. Now, how do we talk about the right to privacy? The right to privacy reached its final stage when the judgment of Puthuswamy versus Union of India was decided by 9 judges of the Supreme Court in 2017. Puthuswamy, a retired judge, had made an averment that the biometrics as well as the details that were given to the government was a breach to the right of privacy. The court made it clear that privacy isn't just basic freedom. It extends to information privacy, meaning that you have control over your personal data, who you call and where you travel, and as such, to that extent, Puthuswamy held that yes, if it was divulging of your personal data, it could breach the right to privacy. However, please remember that the right to privacy is not an absolute right. It comes with certain restrictions. So if you make an averment that your right to privacy has been restricted, you have to prove 3 things. These 3 conditions are: first, legality, that is, whoever is doing the act has to be doing it in an illegal manner. The second is the legitimate state objective or the public interest, that is, whether this action is being taken in public interest or not. And third is proportionality, that is, whoever is invading your privacy, they must have a proper objective, otherwise it is deemed to be an invasion. So please remember, dear viewers, while the right to privacy is a fundamental right, it is not an absolute right. Now let us understand how this matter, Sachin Arora versus Manju Arora, was dealt with by the High Court of Delhi. Section 14 of the Family Courts Act says that a court can receive as evidence any report, statement, document, or information that will assist it to effectively decide a dispute, and that such evidence will not have to follow the strict parameters of the Indian Evidence Act. The High Court, while deciding this matter, was of the opinion that the right to privacy may be a fundamental right, but the right to fair trial is also a fundamental right. And if both the rights have to be decided together, the right to fair trial will definitely get an advantage because it impacts public justice and also society. If a court shuts its doors to crucial evidence at the very threshold, then how can a court decide a matter? Addressing the third party privacy issues, the High Court clarified that the wife was not demanding a paternity test or was not investigating details of a stranger. She was asking for details of a legally wedded husband, and she had made out a case as to why she was asking for this information. Once Delhi High Court decided in favor of the wife, the husband went running to the Supreme Court, asking the Supreme Court to stay this judgment. The Supreme Court said no interference is called for in the impugned judgment, giving it a stamp of approval. Therefore, Justice Rekha Palli's order that has been very carefully analysed has come to stay, and today, for all family matters, this is a very important judgment because now a cheating spouse cannot hide behind the right to privacy, nor can he or she use it as a shield. Privacy is not an absolute right that will shield you in matrimonial wrongs, and therefore, if you have done a matrimonial wrong, do not expect that the courts will side with you. So if you are planning to rely on the right to privacy, make sure that you use it as a tool to protect your dignity, not because you're trying to cover up some offense. Dear viewers, if you have found this episode useful, I would request you to please subscribe to our channel and follow us so that we can give you timely inputs on how the law is developing. And stay tuned to the Indian Lawyer Legal Tips till we meet you at the next episode. Goodbye, thank you, and Jai Hind.